We are conjurers, but anyway, everybody, we learn that it seems you need to be in the exact time zone that you are going to be in when you initiate a Substack Live, when you set up the meeting.
Yeah. So
who knew?
Learning. The reason I think that having a tech glitch, even let's call this a low grade tech glitch, as a setup for the conversation that you and I want to engage in and invite people to reflect on for themselves, is that if you're in a human role, right, and we all have mixed feelings about the words human capital or human equity, and just what it does really to the depth of humanity that gets work done, is that there is a really strong inclination to outsource human function and human management right now, right? And we're already seeing stories in the not just the mainstream press, but like all around, and research papers are being done about how not only do people have AI coworkers, but in some cases they have AI bosses. And what happens to trust, what happens to collaboration. And I think a lot of people are either hearing this and trying to parse out, what does this mean? And how do I prepare myself for this eventuality? That's really what came to mind to me, is that if you're in it, it's probably almost easier than watching the train wreck happen, because you know that it's going to be collective. But I think about it from that perspective, and then I think about the fact that if you've worked in a human capital, human role, human research, culture, people, engagement type role for any amount of time, you've known that really engaging and invoking our humanity at work has always been an X factor, right? It's always been a very elusive thing. It's been a long-term investment, right?
Not a short-term.
It has not been an A plus B equals C kind of algorithm that if we just put A and B in place once, then, oh, great, we can scale it and it's done for good, right? Like, so it's a really febrile, I think the word is, time.
Love that word.
I know. I've been reading lately.
Febrile.
It's bringing all these good words back to mind.
I love it.
Read more. So that's kind of the premise I wanted to jump in with. And I felt like even having a low grade tech glitch
is a reminder.
that tech is not perfect, and it will not be perfect. And it can aggregate human knowledge for sure. And it can optimize it, but it cannot function with heart. It cannot be the purveyor of wisdom, and it cannot think beyond facts.
Right. And it is a pattern matching machine at the end of the day only, which we can forget because it can, adopt a certain energy that feels strangely human. But I think it was a good reminder of this. Humans make mistakes too. But what I think we can do that it can't is string things together and kind of understand the causality when in a nonlinear world. Our gift is to back up, see a big picture. We are the original pattern seekers and meaning makers. I mean, this is what it is to replicate that it can't, and I think we got to lean into our program is about reclaiming wisdom. I think that we had and have forgotten in the human capital world that treats us as capital. And we have that conversation. We were never cogs. We were not a piece of capital. I mean, I want to be viewed as a piece of capital in a capitalistic world, right? Because that makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel that I matter as a widget in the capitalistic system.
So by
But
that, you mean have function, right?
yeah,
Have capital.
I
Yeah.
can be measured. I can be managed. I can be, right? I can be pushed like a machine to produce.
Mhm.
And none of these things are true. You just said it perfectly. Like it's elusive. It's like sand through your fingers. It's you know it when you see it, but you can't define it. Belonging with my world for so many years has been about this intangibility and the long-termness of trust in organizations, which can be broken in a moment,
In a
but takes
moment.
a million investments to sustain and build over time. And humans operate that way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know that business leaders don't want the trouble of that. They don't
Mhm.
want the drama. They don't want the complexity. They don't want the unpredictability. They think they found something that takes all of that out. And guess what? It
Well,
does
y y
poorly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really been on my mind how the reduction in friction, right,
Mm-hmm.
is on the surface, assumed to be a good thing, right? That, "Oh, I'll just
Mm.
ask my bot to do X, Y, and Z, and there won't be any friction," right? But
Mm.
then the level of errors, the lack of creative contribution from others that it's always been in creative tension and disparate ideas that things are optimized, right? That the outcomes like so when we say the word diversity, right? Um, it's not just gender, it's not just age, it's not just upbringing, it's not just even what college you went to, because in a lot of organizations, that's already a diversity move. But it's how we think, and it's subjecting projects to multiple inputs, and it's dealing with friction.
Yes, we
Like
want fiction.
that,
We actually want it. This
we
is what like the frictionless thing that what is trying to be built
yeah.
is like the classic, not just anti-human, but you're right, anti-innovation. It's
Yeah.
literally the opposite. And again, we're getting used to the fact that this world is telling us that everything D&I stood for is irrelevant. But it is so relevant. Like what you're talking about is creative abrasion, I like to call
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the clashing of the rubbing against the differences that feel safe enough. We feel safe enough to contribute, by
Yeah.
the way. That's super important. This all kind of creates the 1 + 1 = 3 of innovation. Like that is literally the equation. If you disagree with that as a business leader, okay, good luck. But it's just the whole premise of it. So anyway, I think the reclaiming wisdom piece of this, which is the title of our Omega course, is literally the space to kind of back up and say, what kind of leadership am I showing in championing innovation and the way that innovation happens and the way that humans need to feel to contribute to that? Because that's super important. I think we skip over that too. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, if I build the system and the process, people will participate. Again, not so simple. If people are afraid, if people are hiding, if people are not trusting leadership, which is hugely coming back in every engagement survey I'm hearing about, that is one of the lowest scores. I don't trust leadership. I don't trust leadership. I don't trust leadership.
Yeah.
And this is very worrying, and it always has been, but I think it's getting exponentially worse. There's a trust
Mm,
recession going on, and nothing can get done. You can't even get people to believe in what we're
mm,
going after and feel important in that endeavor enough to then commit and to give
mm,
all of the wild wisdom that we have. So like you and I want to take people back and say, like, what is your wild wisdom? And how are you
mhm.
doing it? And how are you standing up for that and championing that in an organizational context where the headwinds have never been more intense?
Well, and when we all know it's the case of the shoemaker's daughter, right? That
Mhm.
team leaders, function leaders, CPOs, chief cultural officer, like leaders oftentimes can see what the organization needs and put it into place, rarely do they extend that grace to themselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you could look around and say, oh, our people need blah, blah, blah in the form of self-care, resilience,
Mhm.
working with a professional to really harness a sense of purpose, and a sense of integrity in their choices. And by that, I don't mean not cheating, I mean wholeness, and navigating career
So
choices.
hard.
Yeah, different
Hmm.
word, integrity in different contexts. But so it's always been kind of shoemaker's son or daughter, um, because we, right, are the caretakers of the organization. You're the holder of this question. What does the humanity in this we really need to be at their best and have their best chance at thriving, right?
Mhm.
And what I have seen over and over and over again, and I have a lot of friends who are chief people officers and CHROs and stuff, and if they see this, they're going to laugh and say, "Yes, Tevis, you always encourage me to do these things," but
Mm.
to really take stock, this is not a moment for running on fumes, I guess is what I'm saying. Because those of us who are drawn to these functions and these questions,
Mm.
are already predisposed by natural interest, curiosity, emotional intelligence, inclination towards empathy, and relationship building. Like, the real thing that inspired me, and I think you, to craft this time away, is knowing that just having those skill sets is not enough to help us navigate the challenges of AI, global instability, economic instability, climate change, political instability, right? It's just not enough to say, oh, I know those things. I read a lot about that 5 years ago or something. Like it's gotta be put into practice. It's gotta be fed. It's gotta be refilled. And just like with the organization, it's not a one-time fix. Oh, we bought this program and we have this new app. No, it's it's gotta be fed over and over and over again.
We need a different hygiene for the resilience that this world is needing from us, right? I think what I hear you saying is the practice needs to get more serious,
Yeah.
and we need to be, because it's changed, right? The ground has shifted, and the yoga class, like you were one of the pioneers that brought yoga classes into the workplace, which is like, I remember that, how radical, right? How, like, what? You
Hey,
know,
everybody, have I got a solution for you?
and it sounds like
Right?
now it's, of
Google's
course,
doing it, right?
let's remember, like, that was super innovative. And anyway, but
Yeah.
yet again, now the recalibration of the not self-care doesn't go far enough in how it's been defined. And you make such good points about the repetition, the returning to the discipline of refilling, the discipline of understanding that this is requiring, that the stressors on us are requiring a different, and I don't want to just say more, but maybe different, because I don't want to add something to people's to-do lists. This is not
Yeah,
another
for sure.
class. It's not another,
No, oh,
gosh, it's not another, oh, I need another vacation. It's not, it's categorically different. And somehow we
yeah,
need to weave the metabolizing into our day-to-day.
yeah,
And again, how do we do that? And I think that's
yeah,
what you and I have so many ideas about. We live in a, we live in a place where we get to touch grass, not even grass, like meadows and trees, and but it's physical location, it's what you do with your body, it's how you break up your day, it's how you set your boundaries, it's who you spend time with, it's how you restore. But it is a giving back to yourself for the sort of the intense, like, the word that comes to mind is warfare. I don't know how else to say it, because the weapons are happening. The weapon exchange is happening amongst these giant titans in our world, right? And we feel powerless in this power game. I think I went from feeling fully powerful in a time of 2020 and leading up to it, where felt I could make a difference, felt I could shift systems. I mean, really big vision of partnership with these big institutions that could really affect like millions of lives, both their customers, their consumers, their talent. I went from feeling that to feeling completely ancillary, completely beside the point, completely like not having any of the power levers in my hands. And maybe I never had them, and that's okay. Maybe that was an illusion, but it was quite a happy illusion that powered me for like 20 years. And I'm very grateful to have had a vision that I could believe in, even if it is now battled, embattled. You know, I just have this vision of somebody like through every day. That idea, like, it's okay that it I don't know if it exists anymore. I don't know how it exists anymore, but it shows the power of believing that something is possible, and how much that can really inform every day. Yeah. And you without it, you can't. It's the last chapter in my new book is hope. And the first chapter is grief. Second is surrender, mourning, endings. And it
sounds like a 12-step program.
It is. It literally, like,
what's I say? So there has been, I think, a collective grief with kind of the demonization, the ostracization, the ostracizing of a lot of these ideas, right? So there's that happening, and there's simultaneously, and all of this to reinforce your point about improving our hygiene, right? I love that you chose that word. We're both word nerds, which makes it really fun to have a conversation. but so there's that, right? There's the metabolizing of grief and the reorientation towards how do I serve now?
Right.
What is my highest offering
That's
now, right?
right. Now.
And what is my highest offering here? But the big thing, right? This is why wisdom practices ever came to exist, is that we have these crazy elastic brains.
We do. Lucky us.
That for better or for worse will adapt and respond to the messaging that we're exposed to. This is why we are very easily manipulated as a species, right? And specifically in leadership or in work environments, which is our survival zone. This is our jungle. This is where we kill or be killed, we eat or be eaten, we tend or befriend, right? All those things. And when we're in a culture, a society, a time on the planet that our brains are being programmed by extrinsic messaging constantly, you can't pay your electric bill without being marketed to, or without seeing some kind of pop-up on the way to the site that gives you a political update or a new horrific event in Texas, right? Like whatever. And so because of this imprinting and real, like you talked about the weaponing and the warfare, like it's programming our brains. And we know this about what it does to our kids, because people are studying it and saying we got to get our kids off of all devices. And I'm bringing this up not to go down that rabbit hole, but to say that to navigate this well, the level to which we are being programmed constantly, unconsciously, is probably the biggest weapon that we are being shot with.
Yeah.
And so to really get back to what is inherently our source of wisdom. And I love that you said that it's not about a to-do list, right? It's more about how do I infuse my days, my moments with more of my true self, right? With more of my inherent wisdom, with greater ongoing connection to that aspect of self.
Mm. Yeah. So how do I excavate that if it's not welcomed or encouraged in my environment? How do I go on that journey anyway? Right? Because we must. We must. What we're talking about is kind of life or death. Like
Yeah,
the stakes have
it
never
is.
been higher for humans and humanity to really make the case for humanity, make the case
Yeah.
for the role of wisdom, the role of our wisdom. But we gotta know it to lead with it, Tevis. Like,
Exactly.
know it. And this is why you and I did this program, because our theory, and I think our thesis of what we designed, and honestly, the journey we're on, what is my wisdom? Like the inquiry, the journey that you need to go on to find it, to refine it, to know what it is, to then to enact it in the world, to choose where to deploy, if I could use that word. Choose where to
Military talk.
I know it's funny, but how that's kind of coming up. It's weird. I want to reclaim it because there were female warriors, and this is a battle. This is we got to fight. We have learned one lesson, and that is that if we are in an asymmetrical battle, it's not going to go well, right? We have learned this in the political world. We're not playing the same game, So not that I want to stoop to any levels, as we've talked about endlessly. When they go low, we go high, blah, blah, blah. But I do think the superpower, though, of the human and of you and of us is this ability to the long term, the big picture, the nuance, the complexity, the sort of the sense of the zeitgeist, the intuition about the vibe, if you will. And this is always what culture and engagement has been about. You look at the data that comes back from the engagement survey, and you've got that, but the qualitative stuff is also data, but the story that it tells, the ability to kind of like roll that together and tell and weave it into a narrative that people understand, that can be, what would the actions be to address these really complicated, thorny problems? Like I taught with Amber, and I did this neurodiversity training. It was such a revelation to design it with her. She identifies as a neurodiverse person. We had so much fun, like thinking about neurodiverse leadership as good leadership. But there was a question that came up amongst the leaders of, how do I know it's not a performance issue, but it's a neurodiversity issue? Hard question. Really, really interesting, really juicy. Like it's one of those like my brain is going like in 10 different directions on this. And I love the challenge of that. And I'm not sure it's the wisdom. I'm not sure my wisdom is something I can package in that moment, but the wisdom is kicked into gear in a question like that, which is the complexity.
But that goes back to the friction.
So good, right?
Right. That goes back to
you're in the zone.
Yeah. It just brings to mind, and this was way pre-AI. But I was working a lot with Bloomberg and doing a lot of cultural performance stuff. And we had just done a deep dive with their highest performers, and both through a lot of interviews, but also some surveys and stuff. And I'm talking to my client there, who I just freaking adored. Like so often the people who hold the reins of kind of the human questions are just some of the smartest, most insightful, committed, diligent, caring, purposeful, like just all the things. It's just like you love them. You people are peaches. You're like just juicy and amazing, and you've got a big seed that is your heart. Anyway, sorry, waxing poetic. But so we had all this feedback, and I'm sharing it with her, and she's kind of leaned back and she said, if you had to encapsulate what you're really seeing in a single statement, like a single what would it be? And I was just like, I said, poverty of the soul.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and that is what happens because our culture, like you said, our culture doesn't encourage this attention to self-care or this attention to self-tending. Let's call it self-tending,
I love that word,
right?
tending. I think that
Uh,
tending and what did you say early? Tending and protecting, and there's another word in there. That's beautiful. Tending of the
but
soul in the
but
workplace. What does that look
yeah,
like?
well, in
What we
this
can do.
culture, because where isn't the workplace? The workplace lives inside of our brains, so it's
Yes.
really in this culture, so, like, reclaiming the reality that I gotta tend
Mm.
this, and especially if I am the tender, right? If
Mhm.
you're the mom and you're burnout and or you're on the airplane and the oxygen mask, all the
Yeah, all
cliches,
of
right?
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like, this is go time. Like, you said that, in our prep call when we just touched base for a minute yesterday, you're like, "It's go time."
Let's go. Let's
I'm
strap
like,
in.
then what's in your go bag is my
Your
question.
go
If
bag.
this is go bag, if this is go time,
Uh-huh.
what are you taking with you?
Can I make a gardening metaphor? Tending,
Love
discipline,
it.
and hygiene, Travis, it's hygiene. It is every day checking in. What fell over? What needs to be pruned? What needs to be picked? How is everybody? How is everybody today? Right? What got eaten? what
Oh
what
my
was
god, what
what
got
did I
eaten?
love that was beautiful that is now destroyed by our
Mhm.
friends, our four-legged friends up here? Um, but the
Six-legged.
tending has a different energy than caretaking. And I really like this. I actually want to think about it some more because you and I love our words, but tending is different. And I think good managers and heart-centered leaders, we tend our flock. I mean, we count them. We look at the ones who are lagging. We look at the ones who are not thriving. We notice the group dynamics, right? We know how to corral and we check in on. It's what actually I think women do very beautifully. If there
Yeah.
are gender differences, let's leave that for another conversation. But I don't know. I mean, I think that the caretaking of a community is such a superpower, and the intuition about how is everybody doing, and the interest in it, and then the tool bag or the backpack that you just talked about. Like, we got to travel light. We got to travel light in this world. You're right too. We've got to kind of retool our backpack and say, like, what are the tools now of tending to community, like mental health support. I will talk to some of my leads of D&I friends who I've been doing this with for 20 years, have been clients through this organization, and they're like, the biggest thing is mental health. The biggest for my Gen Zers, like the biggest thing we've got to shift to, because we didn't even know how to caretake that. We didn't have the programs in place. We didn't have the education developed. We couldn't even get our hands around the magnitude of the challenge that was occurring. And we didn't even know to look for it until it showed up here or it showed up here. So same with neurodiversity, that literally a fourth of our workforce is probably neurodiverse in some way. Didn't see it before. Given that statistic, how are we then building something from here, from now, knowing now we've been told? And I guess the other question is, what else are we not seeing? What is not apparent to the eye? What is the thing that we haven't built for yet? And I think this is where we need more room and spaciousness to see, to really see, like, not just, and to
Yeah.
witness, to solve for that. Unfortunately, in the backpack that's very light, I'm not saying we discard old tools, but the pruning of ourselves so that we can really be truly present and resonate with what wants to be seen and who needs to be tended right now is, to me, the biggest alive question for me. And it's not how I used to do the work. I used to think if I just taught leaders how to be inclusive and wrote a book for them, that I would have done what I'm here to do. But it's actually not all that I'm here to do, actually.
Mm.
I'm here to
Yeah.
be really present and understand what needs tending now? And I think that question has really changed. It's bigger,
I
but
think it's change. I think it's come out in neon,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, and but I don't think you can do any of that for others if you're not doing it for yourself,
Which
right?
is
And
yeah.
it's not like, "Oh, I'm gonna be great at this, but I'm gonna disregard
Myself.
everything
Mhm.
about myself," because you will be running on fumes.
Mhm.
You will burn out, you will miss things because you won't be able to see clearly.
Yeah.
Um, so
Could I say
that's
we are our first laboratory. It
yeah.
starts with us, and we've been saying this in leadership for a long time. But I think even more than ever, maybe the radical change that you're describing, which I love, is it must live in us and be practiced by us in order to convincingly and authentically lead. We say this to leaders all the time. Talk about your own change process.
Yeah, yeah.
Norm talking about how dislocated you feel. Like, if
Yeah.
I could wish one thing, it would be that people who are watched by others, who are witnessed by others, who are followed by others, have the courage to stand there and say, this laboratory, this garden right here is where I am struggling. Here's what I am wrestling with. Here's what I have figured out. Here's what I haven't figured out. Here's what I don't know yet. Here's what I'm curious about and working on. Here's what I'm
Mm,
pursuing to understand more about in myself. So, and I'm here with you. Like, I am literally walking this with you, even though I am the name in the box on the org chart. Nobody's willing, don't see a lot of people who are willing to do this, because it requires a tremendous, you talk about vulnerability. Everybody likes to say they like, you know who. Nobody is walking that path. Nobody's practicing that in leadership. I don't see it. I don't hear it. And without though that, we can talk all we want. We can have all the programs in the world, vulnerability leadership, resilience training, whatever. But you've got a bunch of leaders who have tremendous power, more power than those that we are training in training programs. And they find it the hardest to do what I just described: generationally difficult, positionally difficult, risky in terms of showing up like that. That is what people are looking for. It is the permission to be in progress, the permission. But we cannot ask people to do something that you're not willing to walk yourself. And you can be
totally.
walk it
Yeah.
privately. If you're not talking about it, nobody knows.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's the whole thing. How do we,
Same as it ever was.
as it ever was?
Same as it ever was.
And,
Right? Imposter syndrome. This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife, but I gotta act like it. Right?
ouch.
Um, so y'all, I gotta take a dog to a vet and have them charge me
Oh.
$10,000. And Jen is going to have a spacious day in which she gets to do some hygiene and pruning and all that, and probably
Mm.
have 8 million calls because that's what she does.
Which is kind of part
Um,
of the thing, depending on most of my calls are so replenishing these days because we're all
oh, yay.
just a lot of
Um,
us did it. So it's good.
we want you to think about coming to join us. We're gonna be in Omega, taking a weekend to really dive into this fertile pond of why am I doing this anyway? Who am I? Right? Who the hell am I beyond my title and beyond
Hmm.
like what's going to get me through this, and really emerging through a series of practices. It's going to be highly participatory. You're going to be doing stuff as opposed to hearing her and I wax poetically. We have to do that on these lives. We have to wax poetic, but in person we get to shut up a lot more. And farm to table food. It's like
Mm.
adult summer camp, and the leaves will be turning by then, so it's gonna be gorgeous. Um, and we
Mm.
want you to come and join us, not only because we're so excited to offer this, but because we want you to support you.
That's so true. That's beautifully said. I think that's we want to pour into each other and really, for a minute, for a couple of days anyway, give each other the sensation of empowerment, which has been completely overused, and wisdom reminders, wisdom discovery, wisdom recording, cataloging, describing, owning, claiming, reclaiming. And I hope by the end of this experience, there will be a sensation of I can return to this practice to remind myself of the humanity and the beauty of that and the importance of that, and how to get back into that stream, into that flow. And I think maybe for many of us, this might be one of the first times that people experience a flow that they can return to and understand the boundaries of that stream and how to get into it and how to get back into it when we return to the chaos and the uncertainty and all the sort of old programming and all the sort of systemic toxicity that I would argue most folks will be coming from. And Tevis, you and I know that day-to-day struggle and challenge and sort of soup that leaders are trying to lead in gives no opportunity for a lot of this. So please,
none.
We are all trying to figure out, what does this hygiene and practice really look like, and how then can we encourage more of it back in our organizations? It's not, heal thyself and then go forth in that order. Replenish thyself and then tend the beautiful humans that need the tending so much more than ever. So let's figure out how to do that together.
Yeah.
Me too.
Right on.
Great. So what are our dates again? October 9th through 11th in Rhinebeck, New York. Gorgeous, gorgeous place. Fall time. Oh my goodness. It's going to be magical. Magical.
I can't wait. I'm thinking about wearing a yummy sweater.
Oh yes, and a little hat.
Little hat.
Can you imagine at this point in the summertime, it becomes, you get tired of summer. You get to this point and you're like, I kind of miss.
I am not tired of summer, Jen.
Yeah, no. But there will be a time when it's like, okay, maybe it's okay, and maybe I would welcome a crisp day.
Yeah.
Totally. Anyway.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining, everybody. Nice to see you.
Bye, Jen. Good to see you too.
You too. Bye, Tevis.